Okay, so let's move forward to the Jenkins continuous integration tool. So here we are going to talk about the what continuous integration is all about and what is and why Jenkins, and we'll talk about Jenkins architecture and flow of operations. We'll talk about some of the plugins you can add to the Jenkins and how to get started, and then configuring Jenkins, and we'll talk about some fingerprint capability of Jenkins, and then distributed building, and Jenkins best practices and alternative solutions. What is and why continuous integration? So continuous integration is a software development practice where members of a team integrate their work frequently. So whenever they make a change, they want to integrate their change to the source code version control system right away, so that the result of it could be detected as soon as possible. So each integration is verified by automated build to detect integration errors as quickly as possible. So this is actually proposed by Martin Fowler a long time ago, and these days continuous integration tool is indispensable tool in pretty much all software organizations. So principles of continuous integration. So maintain a code repository. So you have to have a code repository somewhere, SVN or JIT. Those are two. JIT is probably the most popular. The code repository scheme, and automate the build. So whenever you make a change, you check in the change, and you are going to let the build done right away. Okay, and of course, that part of the build should include the testing, so that whenever change is made, testing is done right away, so that you know what's going on. Everyone commits to the baseline every day. So instead of waiting for a week to check in all your changes, which used to be the case a long time ago, now you are supposed to make a change as frequently as you're supposed to check in your changes as frequently as possible, so that those changes are integrated and tested as part of the automatic test process. Every commit should be built, and keep the build fast. Test in a clone of the production environment, and make it easy to get the latest deliverable. So idea is that because things get built as soon as the change is made, the deliverable is always available. Everyone can see the result of the latest build. Okay, and automatic deployment is also possible. So benefits of continuous integration is constant availability of a current build for testing, demo, or release purposes. Okay. You don't have to actually have a release engineering to to start the build and wait for a few days to get the build. Okay, so in CI everything gets built almost instantly. Well, instantly meaning depending on your perspective, but as frequently as possible. Immediate feedback to developers on the quality, functionality, and system-wide impact of the code they are writing is possible. So, every developer will get the immediate feedback for the change he or she has made. Metrics generated from automated testing and CI, such as code coverage, code complexity, will help developers write quality code. Okay. So one of the key reasons using continuous integration tools such as Jenkins is that you can see the trend of, for example, number of bugs, the performance. So by having this trend information available to every stakeholder, developer or manager or tester, you can actually see whether you're doing okay or not. Developers detect and fix integration problems continuously, so you can avoid last-minute chaos in release date. Okay, so you basically get the early warnings of broken or incompatible code. You get early warnings of conflicting changes if changes are made from multiple people on the same code. Sometimes it causes some conflict, but you want to actually find it out as soon as possible. Immediate unit testing of all changes. Because continuous integration should include the testing, whenever change is made, the unit testing should be done. So CI impact continuous integration will impact pretty much all software cycles, like a build management, release management, deploy automation, and test orchestration. So pretty much all stakeholders in the software development and the life and the phases are all impacted by the continuous integration. So now we understand why continuous integration is important and useful to software organization. Now let's talk about what is and why Jenkins. Jenkins is a popular continuous integration tool, a continuous integration server or tool. It's a derivative of Hudson. Okay, so now Hudson and Jenkins are two popular continuous integration server, and they in fact share the same code base. Key features of Jenkins. It's very easy to install. You download the raw file, and the only thing you have to do is just run the raw file. So java-jar and the name of the raw file and the port number. There is no extra installation or configuration. Everything is just done with a single command. Okay. So if you want to have more robust deployment, then you can actually use you can deploy it in a servlet container, such as Tomcat. Okay, but for the sake of this development, we are gonna just use java.jar Jenkins war and port 9001. And once you are running Jenkins, you can do configuration. It's very easy, and it can be done through web-based interface, meaning through the browser. So Jenkins can be configured entirely from its friendly web UI with extensive on-the-fly error checks and inline help. Okay, so it will detect whatever you make a mistake, on your when you enter some incorrect value, it will let you know, and it does have a lot of inline help. Okay. There is no need to tweak XML manually anymore. There is no XML things involved. The change set support. So Jenkins generates the list of changes made to the build from SCM systems such as CVS, Subversion, or JIT, or many others. Okay. Basically, as you are going to do in the hands-on lab, for each project, you are going to specify which the source control management system you want to use. In our case, we are going to use Subversion and JIT in our hands-on labs. Okay. Permanent links. Jenkins gives you clean, readable URLs for most of its pages, including some permalinks like latest build, latest successful build, and things like that. So it's actually easy enough to see what's going on for your, historical data. And it does have RSS and email and instant messaging integration. So whenever something needs to be notified, you could use email or instant messaging or RSS. After the fact tagging, so builds can be tagged long after builds are completed. So you can actually tag a particular build with more English-like description. JUnit and TestNG test reporting. So JUnit test and pretty much all the testing schemes, functional testing, integration testing, they could be all included in your test report. Distributed build. So when you need to actually perform continuous integration for a pretty large project, you might in fact have master and slave architecture on Jenkins. In that case, it will involve multiple computers through master and slave architecture. File fingerprinting. So Jenkins can keep track of which build produced which jars and which build is using which version of jars and so on. So we're going to talk about the concept of fingerprinting later on in a bit more detail. Basically, when multiple pieces of codes are integrated, you want to know which version of what jar files it has a dependency on what version of that jar file and things like that. So fingerprinting will actually kind of let you know the integrated, let's say, detailed integration of these pieces. Okay? So we're going to actually talk about these things in a bit more detail. Plugin support. Jenkins is built based on plugin systems. So Jenkins can be extended via a lot of plugins. In fact, there are lots of plugins out there. Okay. And you can certainly write your own plugins. Let's talk about the architecture and flow of operations. So this is how things work. Okay. So this is a version control system such as a JIT or a subversion in the middle, and the coders or developers will check in their changes to this code control source control system. Okay. And then we have a CI server, in this case Jenkins or Hudson. So Jenkins and Hudson, in this case Jenkins will actually talk to this source control system on a periodic basis, and whenever there is a change, it will rebuild. So we have a build servers here, okay, and then Jenkins manager, will actually take a look at what's going on. So Jenkins will give some feedback in the middle here, okay, with this, and then the information will be managed and controlled, viewed by the Jenkins manager. So flow of operations. So this is a little bit of repeat of what I just said. So developers check in changes to version control system, and Jenkins then polls the version control system such as JIT regularly for changes. For example, like every minute. So if changes are detected, then new code is checked out to build servers, and the build is then will be performed. New build of your project will be executed, and then results are reported back to Jenkins server, and then you can see the status of the project: stable, unstable, or failed. Okay, and then notifications are sent to developers and other stakeholders, and the stakeholders either fix any problems found or proceed to implement new features. Plugins. As I said, Jenkins is designed to be extensible through plugins. Okay. By default, some plugins are pre-installed. So CVS, SVN, Maven, and SSH. Those are plugins that are pre-installed, and you can actually install other plugins through the UI. So available plugins. So if you go to managed plugins, plugin manager page, you can click available, and you can see all the plugins that are available for extending your Jenkins. And you can find, in this case, I'm just searching for JIT. Okay. Static code analysis plugins. Static code analysis plugins provide a common visualization backend that produces the trend graph for code analysis tools. So again, code analysis plugins are one of the popular plugins that you can install to your Jenkins. So it will give you a graph like what you see on the slide to see whether your code is actually meeting the guidelines of your code, static code analysis. So these are static code analysis tools people use: Findbox and Dry and Checkstyle and the warnings and task scanner. And for now, Findbox is probably the most popular static code analysis tool people use. So how do they work with Jenkins? The code analysis plugin does not actually run the code analysis tools. It actually analyzes the output of these tools. So basically, the process of Findbox is as follows. Jenkins calls the build tool to run Findbox, and Findbox writes its result to an XML file, and then static code analysis plugin analyzes this XML file and generate report page. So the actual, code analysis done by the static code analysis tool, but basically Jenkins will collect the data, result data, and then display into a graph, for example. Okay, moving forward, how to get started with the Jenkins. So you download the Jenkins WAR file from Jenkins website and you unzip it. Then you're going to get the Jenkins version WAR file, and again, only thing you have to do is just running it. java-jar jenkins.war, and you specify the port number. Okay. Or you can again deploy this WAR file into any Java EE container, such as Tomcat, Glassfish, Jetty, WebLogic, WebSphere, Winstone. So if you want to have a production, production quality server to deploy Jenkins, you certainly can do that over these servers. So starting Jenkins is pretty straightforward. So this is the screen capture of starting Jenkins, java-jar and Jenkins war and port number. And then you should be able to go to localhost :9001, and this is your first Jenkins UI screen. Okay, and then you can manage Jenkins to install the new plugins and create a new project and things like that. Configuring Jenkins. So configuring Jenkins is pretty straightforward. Again, everything is done through UI. So in this case, I'm configuring JIT with JIT exe file. Okay. You can specify the full path of JIT. If you have a JIT in your path, then you can just say JIT. Okay. Because Jenkins will use JIT to, let's say, check out the code and things like that. So you need to actually specify the location of the JIT, and that's part of your configuration you have to do. Configuring build trigger. So basically, if you want your project to get built every 5 minutes, or if you want to get it built every time somebody checked in the code, that's where you are going to specify the build trigger. Okay. Configuring test report. So if you want to actually see the testing result, then you can actually specify the location of testing result XML file. Okay. So we're going to do all this in our hands-on lab. Okay, fingerprint. So basically, as I said before, the fingerprint is a way to make sure pieces are in fact aligned. So let me actually kind of explain through the bullet. When you have independent projects on Jenkins, it often becomes hard to keep track of which version of this is used by which version of that. So Jenkins supports file fingerprinting to simplify this. So example scenario is like this. Suppose you have a top project that depends on middle project, which depends on bottom project. Now you're working on bottom project, but top team project reported the bottom job that they are using causes the null point exception, which you thought you fixed at the bottom, number 32. So Jenkins will tell you, in fact, the which middle build will using what version of your bottom job file. Okay, so that when the another project team actually indicating something is wrong, you can certainly say that give me the the number of the of my file that you're using. So at least there should not be any confusion in terms of which one is using what version of what. So this is how you can set up the fingerprint. To make this work, all relevant projects need to be configured to record fingerprints of their job files. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to actually move forward a little bit because we are not connected to this hands-on lab. Okay, so distributed building. So we're not going to actually do this one in our hands-on lab either because it involves multiple computers. But you can actually configure Jenkins in the master-slave architecture. Okay. So master is the installation of the Jenkins, and it serves all HTTP requests, and it also builds project of its own. And slaves are computers that set up to build project for a master. So Jenkins server master will actually let the slaves to build things. Okay. So Jenkins runs a separate program called the slave agent on the slaves, and master start slave agents on demand. So if master itself is just too small for the large amount of build, it can actually delegate the build to its slaves machines. Okay. Additional workload on building projects are delegated to multiple slave nodes and provides different environment needed for build and test. Okay, so Jenkins best practices: always secure Jenkins, backup Jenkins home regularly, and file fingerprinting to manage dependencies. Most reliable builds will be clean builds, which are built from the source code control. Integrate tightly with your issue tracking system like a Jira or Bugzilla to reduce the need for maintaining a change log. Yeah, so this is actually pretty important. And always configure your job to generate trend report and automated testing when running a Java build. So it's important. Again, the key aspect of continuous integration tool is key benefit of continuous integration tool is you can see the trend. Okay, so every time a build is done, you can actually see how many bugs are in fact actually introduced. what is the performance data. So when you have actually continuously built, you can see the trend of those. Okay, so that's very important. Set up Jenkins on a partition that has most free disk space. Yeah, kind of obvious. In terms of alternative solutions, so open source, Hudson is again, the Jenkins is derived from Hudson. Now they are actually they are being run by different organizations. Apache Continuum is another CI server. Cruise Control, Tinderbox. Commercial, they have Bamboo, TeamCity, Team Foundation Server, and Rational Teams of Concert, Rational Team Concert. But for now, I see most people are using Jenkins. Even Jenkins versus Hudson, I think Jenkins is winning. All right, so that is the end of the presentation. So let's do the hands-on lab. Okay. You are going to download the Jenkins. So if you go to this website, you are going to download Jenkins. It's basically let's see, what is it download? Yeah, so if you click download, yeah, so you specify whatever your OS platform, then you're basically downloading a WAR file. Okay. All right, so download that WAR file. And then now download and install JIT package if you have not done so yet. Okay, so we are going to use a JIT later on in our exercise. So make sure that you are installing JIT. Okay, from here, and then you can start the Jenkins. So basically, I'm going to actually run this Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins is getting started. Then we should be able to get to localhost 9001. Okay, so let me make sure that is okay. Loaded all jobs. So we are going to wait until Jenkins is fully up and running. Let me see what is done. So you can go to localhost 9001. All right, so let me just continue. And first, we are going to install a JIT plugin. So you click Manage Jenkins, and then Manage the plugin, Manage plugins. Yeah, here they go. Okay. So I'm going to just use the lab documentation. And then you are going to search JIT. So first of all, you want to go to Available, and then search JIT. And then there is a JIT plugin. So you want to select this one and install without restart. Okay. And then you want to configure the system, Jenkins system. So again, go to Manage Jenkins again. This time click Configure System, and then configure JIT. So here in the middle of the the configuration, you want to actually specify the location of your JIT executable. Okay. If JIT is already available in your path, I mean if it is actually set in your path, then you can just say jit.exe file. Okay. And then save. Then you have to actually restart the Jenkins. Okay, so in my case, I have already done that. Okay, so let me just go to okay, so manage Jenkins. So configure system. Yeah, so JIT. Yeah, so it's already done for me. Okay. All right. And then, you want to restart it. Exercise 2 is you are going to use Jenkins to, for Apache Commons IO open source project. So, you are going to create a brand new job. So the way you are going to create a brand new job is a new item, and then you give a name, Apache Commons.io, okay? And freestyle project. Typically, you're going to create the freestyle project like this, okay? And okay. And then you have to specify source control management. You have to select source control management. In this case, Apache Commons.io is using SVN. Okay, so you are going to specify so source control management of your project. You are going to select subversion, and then you specify the repository URL. So this is the location where Jenkins will actually go out and get the data, get the source code. Okay, and then you save. Then you can actually build a project. So this is actually manually. You are manually building a project. Build now, then you are going to see things are being built. Okay, so let me actually see. I have already. So I have Jenkins. Yeah, so I have these jobs already. Okay. And I can build now. So it has been built before, and now I can build. So you can see it's being built. Yeah, January 1st, 11/13. Yeah, it's being built. Okay. Okay, so you can actually see the output of that build. Okay, and you can actually see the information of the particular builds. If you click this guy. For example, if you click this guy, you can certainly see more information about the that particular build. Okay, and detailed information. Yeah, so we just saw the detailed information. We can also try the build periodically. So we can change the build trigger configuration. So again, go to configure, and then build trigger. So what we want to do is, we want to build it every 5 minutes or something like that. Okay. So this is the inline help. Okay, so go build figures, and if you click this guy, it gives you detailed help information. Okay, so here I'm going to actually specify h/10 star 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 star. That means I want to build this one 10 minutes after each hour. That's basically what it does. And save. Okay, and then you are going to see, in fact, it's being built every let's see. Yeah, from this point on, it's going to be built 5 minutes after each hour and things like that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna let you do the exercise until exercise 2, and then I'm going to explain exercise 3. Okay. So I'll give you guys about 15 minutes to do exercise 1 and 2. All right. So let me continue the explanation of exercise 3 and. So exercise 3 is we are going to now use Jenkins for Pet Clinic Maven project using JIT. Okay, so you are going to go the Pet Clinic SDK project. So it's provided on the samples Maven of your tools Maven Jenkins directory. Okay, so here first of all you're gonna say JIT init. It's basically having your source code on the JIT. Okay, so it's gonna create the .init directory. Okay, now you're going to say JIT add colon. Then basically what it does is that place every file under the current directory into what is called the staged state. Okay, that is actually intermediate state before you are making a commit. Okay, so we're gonna actually have that JIT add. So typically you're going to actually add a couple of files, but here we are actually adding everything, okay, just for the sake of the simplicity. And then we are going to commit our first commit. This is the message, so we are going to make initial commit. Okay, so it's committed. Okay. All right, now we are going to create the brand new job. So you're going to say new item, and you're going to say pet clinic, and then you have to specify the repository URL. So that repository URL, because we are the repository in the local file system, you are going to specify this location, file : // and this one has to be, instead of my project, in my case, it has to be labs, tools, build, Jenkins, samples, Maven, pet clinic SDK, something like that. Okay, for Linux and OS, you can specify this. Okay. All right. So I specify the URL. So that's the location the Jenkins will go to. In this case, it's going to go to local file system to find out if there are any check-ins. And then you are going to select poll SCM as a build trigger. So build trigger is basically, how you're going to actually start the build. Okay. So in our case, we are using poll SCM, meaning we are going to use a poll scheme. So on the build trigger, select poll scheme. *****5* means that you are asking the Jenkins to poll every minute. Okay, so we like to actually have a Jenkins to check every minute to our local repository to see if there are any change. Okay, and then you also have to say invoke top level Maven targets at build step. So how are you going to actually build it? So we're going to actually build using Maven, and the Maven goals is going to be clean and build, clean and install. So it's going to clean first and then it's going to install. Okay, and then you save it. Okay, and then you can manually build it. Okay, to see whether it builds okay. Right, so click build and it should actually build. Okay, and then what you're going to do is now you're going to make a change to JIT. So you're going to add another file called the readme.txt file under the directory. Okay, and then you are going to make a change. First change, so meaning you're making a commit. So you're going to actually commit, and you can actually take a look at the status of your JIT by calling JIT status, and there is nothing to commit. Okay, so everything is committed. Okay, and then you can see the build is going to be automatically done for you, because every time you make a change, meaning every time you check in, meaning you commit, Jenkins will take a look at the JIT repository every minute, and it will build it for you. Okay, so you should actually see this one gets automatically built. Okay, and you can certainly take a look at it, and you can see what has been changed. It will tell you what has been changed. Okay. Okay, so that is exercise 3. So it's actually kind of, to get the your pet clinic application into your JIT, and then to be managed by Jenkins in terms of its build. Okay. Let me actually continue exercise 4 and 5, and then I'm going to give you guys hands-on lab time to finish them up all. Okay. Okay, so now we want to see whether there are in fact any bugs, whenever build is done. We also, you also want to see the trend, right? Okay, so again, one of the key benefit of using CI is to see the trend. So if the number of bugs that are being found is increasing, then something is not right in your environment. Okay, in your development environment. If it is decreasing, then you're doing something good. Okay. All right, so we are going to configure publish JUnit test result report as a post-build action. Okay, so we are using same pet clinic job. Okay, and you are going to you're going to publish JUnit. Okay, so under go to the click configure in the post dashboard, and then add post-build action. Okay, so there is an add post-build action. Then you are going to see this bunch of actions, and then what you want to select is the publish JUnit test result report. Okay, yeah. So if you click this guy, you're going to see this bunch of options. You select this guy and click save. Okay, and then for test report XML file, this is where you are going to specify the location. So this XML file, test report XML file, gets automatically created, okay, by the build. Okay, so Jenkins will actually take a look at this XML file and then do the report. Okay, you specify it, and then you save it, and then if you do manual build, okay, it's going to you just do the manual build to see whether build now contains the test report. Okay. So build now, and you're going to see The build is done. Then once it is done, if you click this guy, you should actually see test result now. Okay, so when you click test result, now you're going to see test result. Okay, there is no failures. Okay, so now we are going to actually artificially add some test failures in the code, and then commit a change and see whether the Jenkins will detect it. Okay, so what you want to do is you go to owner test.java file. Okay, and then you're going to add these 3 test failure cases. Okay, so it's, you're basically assert equals, we are just saying 1 equals 2 and 1 equals 2 and 1 equals 2. I mean, obviously this will all fail, right? Okay, so we introduce 3 failure cases. Okay, and then we commit this change. So first we are going to add this file, okay, into staging area, and then you're going to commit with a message, test failure implanted. And then if you say gstatus, there should not be anything to commit. Okay, and then you should actually observe that Jenkins will build it because you check in the change, you commit a change, right? So it's automatically building it. And then when you see the test result, you are going to see in fact 3 failures, and you can see which test failed right here, 3 failures. Okay, and now remove the implanted code and reduce the number of failures and commit the change, and observe that build now reflects the change. Okay, so you are going to actually see this is the test trend. You can see there is no failure, and then it will actually increase. Yeah, so this graph should be 3. In the beginning I have only 1 failures, so it should actually go 3, and then it goes down to 0. Okay, so this is the test result trend, which is quite useful. Okay, all right, so that is exercise 4. So that is actually try to see test failures and the trend of those test failures. Exercise 5 is now performance trend we'd like to see. So here we are going to install performance plugin, and we'll see how the performance is actually trending. Okay, so you're going to install the performance plugin. So go to available, and if you type performance, there is a performance plugin. So install performance plugin. Okay, and then you want to restart Jenkins. Every time you install plugin, you have to restart. Okay, so you can just click, so you can restart the plugin, Control C, and just restart. Okay, and then we are going to set the publish performance test result report for Pet Clinic job. So here the post build actions. Okay, publish. So you should actually see publish performance test result report, because we just added a plugin. Okay. And then so here you can actually take a look at the the help screen. Okay, so yeah, so this is actually already done for you, so there is nothing much you want to do. Okay, plugin will do the things for you. Okay, now here we are going to artificially change code in simple JDBC clinic.java file. So we are artificially adding code to slow things down. Okay, all right, and then you are going to add that code into staging area, then you commit. Okay, now you're going to see performance trend. So so once you execute, once you build it, you are going to see the performance trend is going to be, I actually see so this is a performance data. I actually see something. Oh, yeah. So the performance data is supposed to be, somewhere here. I should actually capture a different picture. So performance data is based on unit testing. Okay. So there is a unit testing of this store pad code. Okay. So every time it does the unit testing, it will actually come out. It will actually detect the performance data. Then it will give you the graph of this. Okay. I should actually. Oh, okay. So this is actually, yeah. I think this is a performance data. Okay, all right. Okay, so that is the end of this hands-on lab. Okay, so right now is 40, and I'll give you guys about 30 minutes to this exercise, and let's have a 30 minutes lunch time. So we'll be back at 1:40. Okay, but if you actually finish up earlier, then we can start earlier as well. Okay.